Begin to let some deep breaths flow through your body. Maybe you've been shallow breathing all day, so let it go just a little bit deeper and slower than your last few minutes. Our body's coming into this state of relaxation. We know that good things are to come in this hour that we're sharing together. And so we'll take a moment here to begin to connect with our intention already. And so the intention that we're working on today is the idea of alchemy. Alchemy originally was people trying to find some way to turn something that isn't gold into gold. And the interesting thing, to my knowledge, nobody succeeded at it, because that's not how elements work. They don't exactly just change from one element to another element, generally speaking. And so alchemy itself didn't necessarily work, but we have gained a ton of chemistry knowledge from all the experiments that were run to try to make it happen. So we have a lot to thank for people trying alchemy. Now, in our bodies, I like to think of alchemy as that idea of transmuting something to something else. And it's easiest to work on emotions. It's much easier to work on shifting an emotion from something heavy and dense and really difficult to something that feels lighter and happier and more connected. And so that's the idea today. We're burning off some energy. We're going to do a couple of nice little core movements as we travel through class, and just strengthening things for our muscles to get moving. That gives us a chance to burn off some of the hard stuff. And the idea is, hopefully by the end, we will have kind of transmuted any heavy emotions, heavy things that are going on in the world. For me, it wouldn't take very much effort to get to a state of just tears coming out of my eyes because some of the heaviness that's going on in the world right now. But instead of focusing on that, we're transmuting that energy. We're burning it off, getting stronger. And ultimately, we're raising our vibration to a higher level. And you'll notice part of this is working with the chakras, working in kind of in a subsequent order. The lower chakras first, building up gradually to the upper chakras. So with all those ideas to help us travel onward, let's take a moment to begin to bring the knees into the chest. And we'll just rock around on that low back and that sacrum. The first main area that we're focusing on is the root chakra. So this includes strength and flexibility of the legs. And so this rocking around gives us a chance to start tuning into how the legs feel in this moment. So just enjoy another good breath or two right here. And then the next thing we do, we're going to do in super slow motion so that we can take a chance to really feel the muscles elongate before we work on the strength. So switch both of your hands to be around the left knee. And then the right leg, we're extending it all the way upward. This is a chance to really pause and feel the backside of that leg lengthening. And then once we've paused for a moment, slowly begin to lower that right leg down toward the ground. It hovers right before it hits the earth. And then as we start to bring that bent right knee back in, hands switch to that side, and we begin to switch the legs out. So now left leg gets that same chance to pause and stretch up to the sky. When we're ready, eventually that left leg starts to lower. It hovers right above the ground. And then as that knee starts to come in, switch again. So more or less at this pace, we'll continue. If you get to the point where you want to go just a little bit faster, there's nothing wrong with that. My one recommendation though, make sure that you get that chance to feel the muscles elongate. So if you're going too fast with too much momentum, that you're just kind of moving through it, take it just a moment to pause slightly longer. So length. And then feel the strength, and then return. So a nice, easy way to get our class started, not too much effort, but we already start to feel some of those muscle groups in our body warming up a bit. Let's take one more cycle to each leg. Good. And then as we finish that second one, the legs are going to reach up to the sky. Again, this is the chance to stretch through those muscles that we were just starting to tap into. So as much as possible, try to keep the legs straight. The hands can absolutely be here, maybe on the thigh, maybe on calves. Maybe the legs are upright, that's perfectly fine. It's also just fine if you bring the legs in a little bit deeper if there's that mobility in the body, if it doesn't feel like it's work, if it feels like it's a good stretch. Just take these couple of breaths to tune into the body. Imagine sending fresh prana, fresh energy all the way down the legs. Another good inhale. And with the exhale, we'll drop the hands right down by the hips on the floor. And then this is not a huge movement. We're lowering the legs a foot or two downward and then trying to pull the legs in as deep as our muscles can bring the legs inward. And then lowering, a nice exhale, bring it in. Really start to feel yourself kind of working through and massaging through some of those deeper abdominal muscles. Even when our focus at first is on the root chakra, you realize nothing in the body is isolated. So we kind of work more or less on the lower chakras, and eventually we move our way toward more or less upper chakras. Let's take 3 more of these pulses in and relax. 2 and 1. Good. And then one more thing here before we take a break, though no, you can always take little breaks as needed, especially when we're online here. And what we do here is allow the legs to separate, but it's like we're moving through molasses, nice and slow. And then with a good exhale, slowly move through the molasses as the legs come back together. So just 4 more of those. Opening and squeeze. 3, 2, and last one. As we finish that one, let the legs open back out. This can be straight legs or it can be bent knees, your preference. Either way, rest the hand on the inner thighs to help gravity start to allow the inner thighs to stretch out a bit. It's including a whole new section of that root chakra area. So just enjoying some good breaths. That's one thing I love about yoga is this opportunity that we have to move into muscle groups that we don't always utilize. Enjoy one more good inhale. When we exhale, we're releasing the feet toward bridge pose. We're prepping for that. So feet are close to the glutes. The knees are in line with the hips. And then hands are on floor right next to the hips. So from here, we'll take about 5 cycles, slowly rolling up. So hips and then sacrum and then vertebrae, one at a time lifts. Exhale, rolling all the way down. Even rock once you're down so that the low back has a slight arch, and then we reverse. Lifting tailbone, then hips, and one vertebrae at a time. Rolling all the way down, even letting it arch like a little rocking chair before it reverberates back up to the lift. So 2 more full rounds. And when we return back down after this last one, we're going to rise up one more time and just stay in bridge pose. So we lift up, pause. Maybe you have room to clasp your hands under your back, even walking shoulders under. We're holding here. Feel some of the glute areas, back muscles contracting for the lift. Keep the breath flowing. Take one more good inhale. Exhale, release the hands, roll back down one vertebrae at a time. And then once we're down with the sacrum, let the knees start to rock a little bit to the left and to the right like a windshield wiper. Easing out any of the tightness, especially after those contractions, easing some of that energy, some of that lactic acid. Good. So when the legs start to feel pretty comfortable, we're going to work our way up toward a seated place. So maybe rolling like a ball 2 or 3 times. Just listen to the back though. If the back doesn't like this, just come directly up to sit. Nothing wrong with that. And then when we eventually stay in this seated position, let our legs extend out in front of us. We're wanting to start off tall, so maybe that means keep the hands behind you so the posture lift can be easy. It's okay to start sliding forward. The goal here is to keep the spine as long as possible for as far as possible as we're coming forward. And when you can't go any further, that's when you're allowed to just relax. Kind of ease the muscles here. This is another huge chance to tune into all those muscle groups along the backside of the leg. Feel that ever-present flow of breath. Let it kind of rock you and lull you into a very comfortable state of emotion. I wonder how much easier it would be to get through some of our hard things in life if we just remembered, okay, this is getting hard right now. Let's make sure, extra sure that I'm breathing. Take 3 more cycles, finding presence in the body. And then as we begin to ease our spine back up, take the feet into cobbler's pose. You get to choose how deeply we pull the heels in, and then let your spine again ease its way forward very slowly, starting off nice and straight. A gradual tilt forward. And only when you've reached that point where you know the spine can't be straight for any longer, that's when you're allowed to begin to round. Release your muscle groups into it. And again, 3 more breaths. See if you can make them slightly longer. And then as we start to ease our way up, we're actually going to transition toward another sacral chakra pose, so another hip opener right away. And this is going to be Malasana, or yogic squat. So we're going to plant the feet a little bit wider than the hips, and then start to lift yourself up to that yogic squat. Now, some people, this bugs the knees. So if you need to just come up higher and come into more of like a full squat, that's okay. Kind of like a sumo wrestler. But otherwise, in this nice yogic squat, allow your elbows to push the hips nice and wide. Trying to let the spine lengthen again. We're really trying to tune into that sacral and hip area. So giving that a good chance to stretch for us. No, sometimes too, if the feet have trouble becoming flat, you can always roll up a blanket and put it right under the heels if you're at home. So you've always got that option. Let's try to just enjoy this spot for about 5 or 6 more breaths, as long as the hips are still doing okay. One more good inhale. Exhale, drop the hands down, returning back to the root chakra. Extend the legs straight. Take a moment to dangle. This is getting some blood back to some of those areas that might have felt cut off. We'll return back to here in like 2 seconds, but take a moment to roll the spine up. The knees are bent. And here we'll go back to a goddess pose. So the legs are pretty wide enough that when you bend the knees will not go past the toes. Remember to track the knees open. I see this tendency oftentimes to kind of collapse the knees in, but we want them to spread out super wide. And so from here, let's open the arms out left and right, and we'll take some strengthening for that sacral chakra area. Small pulses up and down. Let the breath flow with you. A nice exhale as we lower. Inhale to pulse up. Heading for another 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Good. Here we're going to turn the toes toward the screen or toward the long edge of the mat, and then start to relax all the way forward. Feel how this wider stance allows you to include the hips quite a bit more than when the legs were narrow together. This one's a good one to get both root and sacral chakras energized. For the rest of the spine, just relax, let gravity continue to take over. Another really good inhale. And then exhale, walk your hands over toward that right leg. The right leg steps back. And we're going to drop down right away into elbow plank. So lower all the way down onto the elbows. If you have to keep the knees down, that is okay, as long as you're still feeling the core work. If at all possible, try to lift the knees up though. Feeling the slightly stronger action. Keep on breathing. Remember, it's better to dome slightly up than to collapse down. You can always take breaks if needed. This is where we start to move up toward the solar plexus chakra. Lots of strength going on. If this is hard enough, this is okay, just like this. If you'd like to add a slight challenge, rotate your right hip and then lower the right hip closer to the ground. And then rotate around so left hip drops. Not too many of those, going for 4 rounds to each. 3, exhale, exhale, 2, and 1. And then just lower the hips all the way to the ground. This turns us directly into Sphinx pose. Let yourself pull the heart forward and through until you feel that abdominal area stretching. So nice and long. Feel yourself catching the breath. Trying to make the breath a little bit longer. Enjoy one more breath here. And then exhale, start to head all the way back toward a nice child pose. Hips resting backward, forehead resting on the ground in front of you. Feel the spine receive that recovery moment. You're welcome to stay a few bonus breaths. If you're feeling pretty good now, allow yourself to start to rise up into downward facing dog. Tucking the toes, feel the hips lift high. I think of this mostly as about the hips. The question mark is how high can the hips continue to raise? Oftentimes I see people trying to lock the legs straight, and then that pushes their body quite a bit more forward. So instead, this is about getting the skeletal areas, the bones to stack. Hips lifting super high. Knees can be bent, that is allowed. Start to lift the right leg clear up to the sky and pause in that stretch. Another good inhale. And then exhale, step that right foot in between hands. The back knee drops down to the floor. Our hips are already sinking forward. And so if the balance is there, start to walk your hands up to the thigh. Notice this left hip is not rotating open to the side. Instead, we're plugging that left hip forward so that our sacrum is nice and level. Today, we're not leaning forward, we're not leaning backward, we're trying to just let the spine rise as tall as we possibly can. Another good inhale. Exhale, scoot the hips over the back knee, front leg gets to go straight, and start to drop the hands down to the floor. A nice long stretch for that straight right leg. Two more breaths, see what relaxation is possible. And then the front foot starts to plant again. We're transitioning toward warrior one. So tuck the back toes, lifting that knee. Rotate the back heel on the ground. Our feet are now ready. We sweep the arms up to the sky, again plugging left hip forward. Nice squared alignment. That solar plexus chakra loves for us to take gentle twists. So the left hand is now dropping toward that front right knee. And then this right hand is trying to open up to a nice twist. It's nothing forceful, nothing too much, but enough to start getting the vertebrae to wind around. Slowly unwind, the arms float back up to the sky. Take a beautiful inhale. Exhale, rotate open to warrior two, front knee still bent. Spine is stacking tall just like we got set up a moment ago. Take a beautiful inhale. And exhale as the front elbow rests onto the front thigh. This left arm reaches up to the sky and starts to aim its way forward. This is kind of our first touch toward getting closer to the direction of the heart chakra. The shoulders and the back bends, all of those types of areas and stretches allow us to get toward that heart. So really feel that elongation, the length. The ribs are stretching as long as possible. Another nice inhale. Exhale, rotate back up to warrior two. And then allow both legs to open up toward the goddess pose again. The knees open, we're already squatting down. And this time, the legs stay strong, they stay solid. With our hands, we start off at the heart. This is a nice inhale. Exhale, we twist, pushing the right arm to the left. Inhale back through the center. Exhale, twist, left arm to the right. Inhale, center. Just a nice slow process, move with your breath. Exhale, twisting. And then second side. Let's go 3 more each. 2. And 1. Good. The legs start to go toward straight. The toes turn toward me, toward that long edge. Try to clasp your hands behind your back. And as the hands pull down, that invites our heart forward into a little back bend. So just pause there, just gentle opening. One more inhale. And then with the exhale, keep the hands clasped as you start to move toward a forward fold. Continue to pull the arms open behind us as we stretch through the shoulders. Like I mentioned, we're getting in toward that heart chakra, energy moving upward. So take another good inhale. And exhale as hands release downward. Start to walk the hands this time toward the left edge. When the left foot steps back, we're in a nice plank pose. So from here, the challenge that we're gonna try to do is this pattern. We lower the right elbow to the ground and then left elbow to the ground. And then plant the right hand and then try to lift up to the left hand. The second round starts with the left elbow, right elbow, left hand, right hand. Let's try to aim for 2 more sets to each side. So right, left, right, left, and now left, right, left, right. One more if we can handle. Know that you can drop to knees. Right, left, right, left, left, right, left, right. Good work. From here, we're trying to head toward more of a cobra pose. So if this is too deep for the spine, go back down to Sphinx, but lowering hips down to the ground. Keep the shoulders relaxed away from the ears. So that means we can bend the elbows, even coming down toward baby cobra. But try to keep the shoulders away from ears. Long neck, long spine. Good. Take another beautiful inhale. And exhale, we enjoy a little bit of time in that child pose. Just like before, at some point you'll feel ready to take downward facing dog, no rush. When you get there, just start to play with what needs to be open to allow this to happen more easily. Take one more beautiful inhale. And then exhale, this left leg is going to start floating up to the sky. Feel it reach high. Lots of stretch, lots of space. Inhale. And exhale, step that left foot in between the hands. The back knee can lower down to the ground. As we're sinking hips forward, walking hands up to that left thigh. Keep on plugging the right hip forward. Spine is trying to lift, so the vertebrae, instead of crunching down and compressing, we're trying to find lift. There's this tendency that we have to kind of shrink our spine shorter and shorter as the day goes by. So let's counteract that. Lots of lift. Nice inhale. Exhale, shift the hips over the back knee. Front leg gets to go straight as we drop the hands downward. Another slow cycle of breath in and out. Good. Planting the front foot, we're transitioning toward warrior one. Lift up the back knee, rotate that foot down. Arms sweep up to the sky. Plugging that right hip forward. A good inhale. Exhale, we're starting to aim for the twist. So right hand to that left knee. Left hand starts to open up. It's nothing forceful. Chiropractors don't like it when we try to force twist too deep. Instead, it's just however much the vertebrae wants to do and how much the muscles of the back are happy to travel. Nice inhale. Exhale, arms sweep back up through the warrior one. Inhale. Exhale, rotate open, warrior two. Keeping that left knee bent, maybe even trying to sink just slightly past your comfort zone. Just slightly lower. Nice inhale. Exhale, taking a moment for the shoulder. Left elbow rests on left thigh. And then this right arm continues to move forward until we feel that shoulder opening. We feel the side ribs elongating. Try to even breathe into the tightest spots of the ribs. Nice inhale. Exhale, rotate up, coming into goddess pose. Already find that nice squat downward. Hands at the heart for our inhale. Exhale, twist one side. Inhale, center. Exhale, second side. And center. You got the pattern. Just follow your breath. Doesn't need to be any sort of rush. Really try to feel the muscles helping you twist though. It's nothing forced. It's just the muscles moving through their range right now. Three, 2, 1. Good. Straighten the legs, turn the toes forward, clasping the hands behind the back. Hands pulled down to open the heart for just a moment. See if there's even more squeeze of the shoulder blades that's able to happen. And then keeping the hands clasped if possible, try to move into that forward fold. Going all the way back towards shoulder opener. Nice inhale. Exhale, hands can start to drop down. Walk them over to the right. When we step back toward plank, we lower the right elbow to the ground and then the left elbow. And then from here, lifting the hips up high, start to walk the toes in. We're in dolphin pose. Dolphin's great for the upper chakras, not only because it's inverting us, but it's also strengthening through that shoulder area. Rather than having collapsed down, try to push the shoulders up so that we're getting the shoulders away from the ears. This is going to be a spot where different people can hold for different lengths of time. So whenever you feel too tired, your breath is starting to get lost, that's when you'll drop to child's pose. If you're still doing okay, let's try to take a few more good breaths. One more inhale. And exhale, walk the feet back toward a normal plank. Lower all the way down, belly down. Hands hover above the ground and we start to lift the shoulders, lift the legs. The locust pose variation using the strength of the back. Nice inhale. Exhale, hands press down. You're welcome to take a moment in child pose, or if you're ready to go straight to downward facing dog, that's also beautiful. If you're not in down dog already, go ahead and rise. We'll float this right leg up to the sky behind us. As we shift the shoulders over the wrists, take that right knee into the nose. And then extend it back up, three-legged dog. Two more of those, knee to nose. And lift. One. And then the next time the foot steps in between hands, back heel rotates down. We're sweeping up, warrior one. Hands come down to the heart. And we're going to try to take off, balancing into the front foot for warrior three. So begin to lean forward, front foot taking more of our weight. Eventually the back leg is able to lift. You're welcome to have hands at the heart, that's fine. Holding for 3, 2, 1. This left knee starts to float in front of us as the torso lifts. We can either stay balancing with that leg in front of us or take a gentle twist. Right hand to left thigh, left hand opening up behind us. Good. Returning forward. We plant this foot, the feet going about as wide as the mat. Take a yogic squat, going all the way down, elbows pushing the knees wide. Dropping the hands down, straighten the legs, take a forward fold for a few moments. And sliding the hands up the shins, take a half lift. And exhale, start to plant the hands down to the ground. We're stepping back. This could be child pose. It could be going straight to down dog. You could add in a flow if you wish. Taking that chaturanga, cobra, and then down dog. From the down dog, if you're not here already, start to rise up. The left leg can start to float behind us, three-legged dog. We've got 3 cycles, taking knee to nose and return. 2 and 1. Good. This last time we step that left foot in between hands. Back heel rotates down. Floating up, warrior 1. Nice inhale. Exhale, maybe hands toward the heart as we begin to transition for warrior 3. Our weight goes over the front leg, and eventually that back leg floats right behind us. So find that perfect balance. And remember, it can be a lot higher of an angle. If this is where your balance is, that's great. 90 degrees is eventually sometimes possible. Building up toward that place eventually. Take a nice inhale. Exhale, torso rises. This right knee starts to try floating in front of us. Posture's tall. And sometimes this is about how much we can balance, so nothing wrong with that. If we're taking the twist, left hand to right thigh. And the other arm is welcome to start opening up to a twist. Nice inhale. Exhale, return, dropping this foot down. The feet go about as wide as the mat for that yogic squat. Gently lowering down, and remember, always you have that option staying a bit higher if that's what our knees can handle. The full yogic squat would be only if the knees are okay, the feet are still okay. Checking in with the spine, can it lift any taller? Another good inhale and exhale. Dropping hands down, turn the toes forward. Let yourself dangle. After all the work, getting to invert by hanging the head upside down like this is so nice. And the bonus here is also that length we get to have through the legs. So no, inverting like this is so helpful for getting that blood into the head, helping to feed our upper chakras, the third eye and the crown chakra. Take one more good breath in and out. Inhale, half lift, long, flat spine. Exhale, planting the hands down. This is our last time to have that option. We step back, maybe we go straight to child pose, maybe to down dog. If you want a little flow, take that chaturanga, the back bend, and the last downward facing dog today. We start to lower down. We'll head toward a seated place. The right leg extends out straight in front of us. The left foot tucks into the thigh. And we take a nice forward fold. The bonus here is we get a little bit of hip, so sacral chakra, a little bit of straight leg for the root chakra. Let's take a huge inhale, reaching up to the sky. Elongate the spine. Try to keep it as long as possible for as far as possible, relaxing forward. Nice inhale. And exhale. Inhale, we start to rise. And let's switch the legs out. So now the left leg is the straight one, the right tucks into the thigh. Before we go forward, take that huge inhale, feel the back muscles engaged in the lift. And then we exhale, we release forward. Blow a breath in and out. And with our gentle rise, we'll take a little stretch for the shoulders, starting to add in some last little things for these upper chakras. So the right arm goes across the body, pull it in. Try to relax that shoulder all the way down as far as possible. Maybe head tilts to the left to help exaggerate that right shoulder stretch. Huge inhale. Exhale, open the arms. Second side. Pull it in. Maybe the head drops to the shoulder away from what you're stretching, so head to the right. And one more breath in and out. And then opening up. To give a last little boost to all of these upper chakras, we're going to play with shoulder stand or a shoulder stand variation. I'll show a couple of the variations that you can choose if shoulder stand's not in your practice right now. The variations could be just simply legs up the wall. That also does a huge benefit to these upper chakras. A second variation, a little bit closer to shoulder stand, would be planting the feet on the wall and lifting the hips up. This is also nice because it engages a little bit of the core strength. So those would be your variations if shoulder stand's not in your practice. If it is, most people get into shoulder stand through rolling. And so you can kind of roll like a ball. When the hips come above you, plant your hands on that low back and then continue to let the legs straighten out or up. If you're traveling up to the shoulder stand, keep on walking the elbows together behind you. Find this wonderful lift upward. It's so nice how the throat has that light contraction. So healthy to get the thyroid oxygen rich. So healthy for that thyroid. So you can stay in shoulder stand. You also have the option to go down toward plow, the feet getting closer and closer to the ground, past the head. Only if the toes touch down are you allowed to release the hands, maybe clasping them together behind your back. So shoulder stand or its variations, plow pose, any of these variations. We'll try to slow down the breath, about 5 more really good relaxing cycles. You'll get to that 5th breath sooner or later. When you're there, we roll down literally as slowly as possible. Hands are like brakes on the ground, and try to let one vertebrae find length before it settles down to the ground, and then the next, and then the next. That creates so much space where maybe there was previously compression. Good. So when you touch down, we'll take fish pose. The feet can go onto the ground so that we can slide our hands palm face down, right under the glutes. When the legs extend long, we press into the elbows to come up to this elbow propped up position. From here, heart lifts, head rocks back, and maybe the crown of the head just barely grazes the ground. It's mostly about that lift through the heart though, so head does not even have to touch. One more good inhale. Exhale, lift the head, widen the elbows, and gently lower yourself down onto the back. Once you free out the hands, listen to your body for any last poses the body would love to take right now. So that might mean you take happy baby pose. That might mean a gentle twist left and right. Just listen to your body to know what would be most helpful. And you're welcome to continue to play with any of these poses for as long as the body is still recovering. At some point sooner or later, you'll feel completely ready to relax into Shavasana. So when we get there, know that you don't have to just do the normal Shavasana straight legs. Sometimes with all that work we did, the low back wants to have a little bit more of a break. So that could mean that the feet planted and the knees falling into one another could be that perfect thing that you can do to make the low back flat on the ground. There's other variations too, returning to legs up the wall or whatever else intuitively feels good. So no rush to get to Shavasana. Sooner or later, you'll just notice that you're here. And so as we continue to let our breath flow through Shavasana, know that the energy is still kind of figuring out what to do with all the practice you just had. So maybe you can help that process, that journey, by imagining the energy at the spine, all those nerves, those nerve plexuses at the base of the spine. And as you just simply slowly progress through long, deep inhales and exhales, just imagine gradually this energy is lifting up higher, getting less dense, feeling better. So that's no rush. We got several minutes just to be here. So really try to tune into how the energy feels and help to raise it up the spine, all the way to the crown of the head eventually. Begin to deepen the inhales and the exhales. Introduce little movements back to fingers and toes, ankles and wrists, stretching out like we're waking up first thing in the morning. And eventually taking a nice fetal position off to one side. Once we're here, perhaps enjoy another 2 or 3 breaths until you feel ready to come up to a comfortable seated place. No rush. So as we start to rise up, let's join our hands together in front of our hearts. And we feel within our own body how much of that maybe previously heavy energy that we burnt off. That's part of alchemy, adding that heat. Another part is that transmutation from the denser, heavier emotions, like those that tend to be present in the root chakra, and starting to raise them up the spine, up the energy. It makes sense because if you think of the elements of the chakra, it goes from density, from earth to water. It still needs a container, but it's much less dense, to fire, to air, to sound, to light, to presence, to ether. And so with that change from very dense to much, much, much lighter and more free, with that transmutation accessible to us, and with our choice to lift our emotions upward so that we feel better within our experience, with all these ideas to help lead us onward, let's wrap up the time we got to share together today with the sound of Om. Deep inhale now. May we be filled with light and happiness and peace. Namaste.